Royals, what's going on? It's your girl QdaQueen here. Today is actually Monday, so hopefully you guys will get this vid either on Tuesday or Wednesday. Based off of my last couple of videos, if you haven't checked it out, make sure you do. Quite a bit of traveling the last week or so. Dallas during Mother's Day weekend, and then Stockx Day 3 this past week on Thursday, May 16th. So I wanted to come up and do kind of like a follow-up video regarding the day, so you guys can kind of know what I thought about the overall experience, and possibly some things I think that they could probably improve on. But before I even talk about that, I guess I'll just go ahead and get into the goodie bag that they sent us, or they gave us rather, because I haven't really looked in it. I kind of grabbed the bag, dug in it a little bit, and then went about my way. So let's look at these goodies, and then we'll get into my honest opinion on Stockx Day 3. Now make sure if you haven't subscribed, you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and definitely comment, okay? Because me and my Royals, we talks about it. Alright, so they gave us this nice little tote bag, so to speak, with Stockx, and you can see the 3 because it's day 3. Oh, and it even has like the location and the actual date that we were there. You can see that it says May 16th, Detroit, Michigan. Actually drove out there. I live in Chicago, so it's about a 3.5 hour drive. If you know, my homie Flashy Girl 1185 was with me. She flew out from Buffalo and met me in Chicago, and we just rode out to Detroit and made a nice little road trip out of it. Anyway, let's see, the first things first. This is one thing I did know that they gave us. So this looks like a hoodie, Detroit and X on it. Let me just open it up so you kind of get an idea what it looks like, because I haven't even really looked at any of this shit. So yeah, it's a Champion hoodie actually. Yeah, I know Champion is popping for the hype beasts out there. Wow, I haven't had anything Champion in a long time. Last time I had some Champion, it was something that was for the cheap from Kmart, all right? But yeah, so you can see kind of the DET, which is Detroit, and then the Stockx logo right behind it, because that's what the HQ is, the headquarters. So it's just all black, normal hoodie, front full pocket, and a hood. Boom. All right, let's keep digging in our little goodie bag. All right, so I heard somebody say socks, so yes, there are some socks involved, and they are some Stance socks, okay? I know there's a lot of Stance socks heads out there. It looks like they specifically are Stockx Stance socks. Interesting, okay. So you can see the label, and you can actually see the Stockx logo on the socks. Looks like it has kind of a turquoise liner on the toe. So that's kind of cool. This is kind of in the family of colors. That's my favorite color. So really dope. I can be a little colorblind from time to time, but I'm gonna say these are black. I'm gonna say these are black. They might be navy blue to somebody else, but I'm gonna say these are black socks. And this is cool. This is cool. I'll definitely wear these. Okay, so we got a little booklet with a marker. It's like a permanent ink marker. This marker is so glary it might not focus the way we need it to, but we got the little Stockx rubber band around it, and the actual notepad has a Stockx and gloss. I assume from a culture standpoint, the idea is for us to like sketch with the marker in here, so you get like a nice little artistic, maybe graffiti pattern type deal, and a little notepad. But I'll probably just use it just to as like a task list notepad. I like notepads and just put lists of stuff in them, so that's kind of my thing and how I do it. So this looks like just more like a pamphlet situation. So it kind of has that Stockx design, kind of goes over the values of the company, or crew members of the company, I guess, probably the Detroit crew. I guess just going through the process of how they do things in terms of from a consumer standpoint. Well, from a company standpoint, in order to get a product to the consumer. So trucks, transparency, transformation, trenches. Look like lastly we got just a couple like stickers and such. So looks like this sticker is the back of like a Jordan 3. Unfortunately, this one got like a little hint of a rat shoe. What they call it? What's that? Desert rat? What are those shoes called? I don't know. One of them wave runners. You know, I don't mess around with those. So anyway, they also gave us a nice little coupon. Take $20 off of a $200 purchase, which is cool. So that's pretty much what was in the bag. And of course we got the bag itself. So something if we want to use it for any other purpose, you know, definitely can carry things around in that. All right, Royal, so I know y'all kind of want to know a little bit about, you know, what I thought and maybe a little bit more into what the overall day looked like. So it was a long day. First and foremost, they had us meet up at 8 a.m. at the Call statue outside of the office. So that's where everybody met up. Mind you, this is 300 out of 9,000 people that tried to get invited to this particular event. So that's huge. Based off of what the CEO, Josh Luber, mentioned, I think last year was 130 people out of 3,000. This year, 9,000 people. So definitely tripled, tripled in applicants or people that actually tried to get an opportunity. And doubled in terms of people that were chosen. So kudos to Stockx for actually making sure that they had enough accommodation to be able to grow the amount of people that came out. And they did very well in terms of like organizing us. Being out of those 300 of us, of course, they had to break us up into groups. But that was after we all loaded up on the charter buses. From the initial charter bus ride, we went to the authentication center. And that's kind of where they broke us up in groups because they allowed us to, first off, eat breakfast, get grouped up, go with our group into the little spot, a designated spot in the authentication center. I think I saw somebody comment in one of my recent videos, I think it was the part 1 video, where they were kind of wanting a little bit more of an insider on how the authentication process worked. Basically, they only showed us, they had two, what I believe are two pop-up stations. We did not circle the entire authentication center. We went down a few stairs, and then it was like 2 little stations. The first one was streetwear. So, you know, homeboy introduced himself. He showed us a couple different pieces. I think both of the pieces were Supreme or North Face. One piece was Supreme, one piece was North Face, whatever the case. And he asked us, was they real or fake? I think one had like a factory flaw, and another one was overall fake. I don't remember what the order of it was, but we went through that whole little spiel in terms of how they authenticate streetwear. And my man that was actually showing us that, he has years upon years of streetwear experience as he's worked in the retail game and just seen a lot of different materials. So that's a testament to the kind of people that they have coming in to actually go through the process. So they're not just choosing Billy off the street, but they choose people that actually have been in the industry in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Not necessarily somebody that's been, you know, on the top floor of a headquarters office, but somebody that's been on the ground floor in retail, have touched shoes, have touched clothes, have bought shoes, have bought clothes, you know what I mean, and have a good idea of what they should be seeing. And so from that particular station, literally they were right next to each other. So this is the streetwear station, and then we literally walked just a couple of feet over to footwear. So it had 2 sides to it. One side had the Travis Scott ones, the other side had pine green ones. My man was just basically showing us like the difference in the boxes, how the labeling, and a lot of the sort of the common things we kind of know to look for in terms of like the font on the box, the way the label is lined up, the color of the box, things like that, which if we've kind of seen enough throughout the years, just as being collectors or sneakerheads, some things are obvious, but when it comes to the actual shoe itself, that's when things get a little tricky. So he had both a fake and a real shoe, and that's something that they try to do quite often, just to be able to compare. But they also keep the fake for training purposes, because you know, you have people that got a onboard process, you bring new people in. This is a company that's constantly hiring. So having fakes for training purposes, I believe is super important, and I was glad to know that they do that. Of course, my hope is that they kind of keep the fakes in their own little spot, which I imagine they do. I mean, you got to streamline things, especially when you're dealing with that part of the game. And as a growing company that's growing so fast, you got to keep your reputation on point. So based off of what he was saying, customers actually let them keep the fakes or either send them fakes for the purpose of what they would be using it for. And so that's kind of how they, retrieve the fakes or whatever. So that part was cool. My only gripe with it is that they didn't really, in that authentication center, I mean, we're talking about a very large space. I mean, I could be completely off base, maybe 10,000 square feet or so, more or less, I don't know. But the point of the matter is simply, we went to one little square in that space. We didn't walk around and see kind of the folks that box stuff up or unbox stuff. We didn't get a chance to actually see somebody authenticate anything. We didn't get a chance to see anybody scan anything, label anything. We didn't get a chance to see any of the process. And I imagine a lot of that has to do with the fact that they want to keep certain things under wraps. They don't want that process to necessarily be seen. And somebody brought up a good point. They were like, because here's the thing, a lot of the people that came to Stockx Day 3 weren't from Detroit. Some people came over from Korea, you know what I'm saying, different places like that. So I could understand why they didn't necessarily take us through the process, because it's people from the places that are known for fakes that were present. And I didn't even think about it until somebody said that. But up until that point, I was thinking like, wow, we waited in that room, we had breakfast and got grouped up for I don't know how long, only to be in there only to be in the authentication center, the actual center, for maybe 10 minutes. I'm not particularly impressed with that part of the tour, but they need to figure out another way. Maybe if they're gonna do pop-up stations, maybe they need a pop-up station for each part of the process. Boom, this is how it starts off when the shoe gets to us. You know what I'm saying? Boom. This would be the part where we start to scan it or whatever the case might be. And they don't have to go through every little thread or gadget that they use for it, but just kind of like give us the experience of being somebody that's in that room. Give us the Stockx sell through shipment process. After the whole pop-up stations and walking out of that particular building, we actually went to a couple of different new businesses that are in downtown Detroit. And based off of what I know about the new initiatives and the revitalization of Detroit, it has a lot to do with Dan Gilbert and the business group that he's associated with. So we went first to it was a hotel. It was an office space we went to. That ball pen that I showed you guys, that was a part of one of the spaces. We just went around like a couple of spots where I guess they had refurbished or repurposed. And those spaces are either drawing in business from customers, or businesses are setting up shop and people are coming to work in those spaces. So it was good to see for somebody that is emotionally invested in basically my home, my home state, and also hearing about the changes that are in Detroit, but actually being able to see them was for me a treat. But I really can't imagine somebody who, let's say, flew out from overseas that came to Stockx Day, somebody that flew out from California that came from Stockx Day. I can't imagine those people would be that interested. I mean, it was a couple spots we went to. It was this one spot where inside of the hotel where it had art around the wall, but it was like books and like a little lounge area where the lady was kind of telling us about, you know, how they designed the room and blah, blah, blah. There was people sitting on the couch like on their phone. Like, I don't know if they was on Instagram texting or what, but it was just proof that people that come to visit for a Stockx Day event, they're not thinking about the restoration of Detroit. They don't care about this business, that business, and you know, the fact that there's a historic building that sold for $3 million, only $3 million, and now is worth like $30 million. They don't care about that. That particular part of the tour is you can only rate that based off of your expectations. Now, granted, I did not expect to really see the restoration of Detroit component, where they would be taking us to businesses that have nothing to do with Stockx directly. But I appreciated it, but I could see how somebody wouldn't appreciate it. So we eventually made our way to the actual Stockx office, where we spoke with, I believe, who was the co-founder and one of the other staff members. I think he had something to do with operations. And you know, this was a cool little space or whatever, where we all could kind of fit and ask our questions. How are they looking to improve the interface of the app? How are they looking to improve rewarding customers more as we either buy more or sell more, things like that. So that was cool to have that moment, that kind of one-on-one. Even though it was time restricted, we got that opportunity. Even in that room, you could see like right across the hall that there were offices and things like that, and we never got a chance to go in there. An ideal Stockx tour in that instance would have been, okay, ask your questions, we have that little fun, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna show you guys kind of the day in the life. Not necessarily seeing somebody make a business deal or go through a meeting or whatever the case might be, but like walk us around the office space. You know, this is Sherry, she's the chief financial officer. This is Billy, he is the marketing executive director or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we seeing these people maybe sitting in their desk or whatever the case, and we just wave. Like, it don't even have to really be like any direct engagement. And even more reason why that should have been the case is where we eventually landed, kind of that conversations piece where the CEO Josh Luber and one of the founders and then mainly investor Dan Gilbert kind of sat down and talked us through the thought behind kind of building up Stockx and everything around it, and you know, the new features and all of that good shit. But one of the things that Dan Gilbert mentioned, he said, one of the reasons you guys are all here is for recruitment. But my thing is, if we were there for recruitment, why didn't we get to meet anybody that worked there besides the interns that were walking us around? You know what I mean? Not all of them were interns, but I'm pretty sure most of them were interns. And as somebody who's been an intern before, it was intern vibes. And then also, these are people who have probably been with the company for maybe 3 months or so. I've met people that have been with the company for a month, 3 months, and in less than a year period. And they've hired over 500 people, I think within the last couple of months or something like that. My thing is, okay, if you brought us here for recruitment, which I mentioned before, if you brought us here for recruitment, why aren't we kind of getting to see certain things that would help us make a decision in terms of actually wanting to work for you, besides the fact that we love shoes, street gear, and the culture? You know what I'm saying? And maybe that's enough for some people. That is enough for some people. Especially when you see in a company that's growing the way they're growing and you think it's all fun and games, but I mean, give us a little something. As if we being recruited, give me some more. Let me see the damn offices. Let me meet some people that actually may have been there from the start, besides the founder and CEO, you know, things like that. So I mean, it's a lot of misses in all of this, and I was happy to be there. I had a fantastic time, but there are a lot of misses. This is only the 3rd year, so lots of time to grow, lots of room to grow, lots of ways to kind of structure it where it can be better from an experience standpoint. Up until it got to the spot where we had the conversation with Josh Luber and Dan Gilbert, and my man from Chinatown Market, I forget his name. It wasn't really about Stockx at all. Again, if I was somebody who was not from Michigan, who was not emotionally invested in things outside of Stockx, I would not believe that the trip was as fulfilling as it could have been. And yes, we met a lot of cool people. We got a chance to talk to a lot of cool people. Got a chance to listen to cool people talk. We ate good food, very good food. I feel like we were fairly catered to. The treatment was perfect, but the overall tour component, that to me needs work. That to me needs work, because a lot of the people that want to come to Stockx Day are people that care about the inner workings of Stockx, and we need to have that a part of the tour. Like, that needs to be 95% of the tour, period. And I know a lot of why they did that is because they're trying to market and advertise for all the other stuff. But I think a lot more people would be satisfied. It would be something that people would want to come to years on out. Okay, so, you know, in terms of the whole conversation piece and a lot of the features that they mentioned in terms of, you know, usability and just consumer experience with StockX, they're definitely going to start to do more local facilities. I think I actually read in a recent blog, I think it was Soul Collector or Sneaker News, one of them, StockX is actually putting a spot up in New York City. I'm not sure exactly what the inner workings of that spot will be. I think authentication will be taking place there, but I think it'll also be a spot where people can maybe drop off shoes that they're selling or pick up or whatever the case. But that's going to be, from what I believe, a part of their local facility initiative, because that's one of the features that they were saying that they were looking to start. I guess overall, what I can say is they treated us fantastic. Oh, matter of fact, let me tell you something. So when we first got to the authentication center, that's where we also got our badges. And y'all know I'm QdaQueen. My first name actually starts with a Q. Okay, so this QdaQueen doesn't come from me calling myself Queen. My name is actually starting with a Q. I'm Quenisha. All right. Anyway, so how about this? Myself and two other people's names started with Q, and myself and two other people happened to be waiting for our badges way longer than everybody else. And guess what? Myself and two other people didn't have a badge printed out. And guess what? Me, myself, and two other people had to get our badge written on with a permanent marker. But other than that, they treated us well, okay? I'm keeping that. They treated us well. And hopefully y'all can't hear that fire truck. But number two, that the rating is very average in terms of that tour. Especially if your expectations was to really get an inside inner workings look at StockX. If you were expecting that, we talking about maybe a 6.5 point rating. If you came to network, top notch, some of the coolest folks you will meet, okay, including the staff members. Everybody was cool, everybody was nice. You get a chance to personally talk with the CEO. That don't happen. You get a chance to personally speak with Don C. That don't just happen. You can talk to I didn't talk to Trinidad James. I respect him. He's a real sneakerhead, so no shade. But you get a chance to talk. Trinidad James was there. I mean, there were other influencers there, and we could easily talk to them. They were with us throughout the whole time. They took their tour with us. Like, everybody was together. That part was top notch. Networking was top notch. If you came for recruitment, you definitely had an opportunity to talk your stuff. To talk to who you needed to talk to, or find out who you needed to talk to get an opportunity to possibly see what was out there. That was top notch as well. That's not something easy, but definitely when they said they were there, they had us there for recruitment. I don't believe that to be a lie. If you were there to get a good feel for Detroit and where it stands today, top notch. Because again, they did more with this particular part than they did with Stockx, which I think was the first point. The second point, right? Yeah, those are my thoughts on the overall Stockx day experience. Would I go back? Absolutely. Would I expect it to be better? Absolutely. If any of you guys get an opportunity next year, definitely try to go. If they invite you, get a ticket, man, it's worth it. But just make sure you have very neutral expectations just in case. So that way, whatever fun you might have, whatever person you might speak to, all of it is a pleasant surprise. Definitely good experience. I was happy to be able to go. Looking forward to the future as it pertains to not only Stockx, but just the culture in general and my place in it and how I can contribute. Y'all make sure that y'all hit that like button, hit that comment section, man. My schedule is a little bit lighter than what it's been in like the past year. So I should be able to produce content on a more frequent basis. Got a couple things coming, a couple exciting vids coming. Until next time, royalty.